Hello and welcome to the Fuzzy Loaf Comic Club. Good one, Scott.
Thanks.
This is a weekly show where we pick a graphic novel or a trade issue or a volume of a comic or a limited story arc, and then we read it and discuss it. Today it is hosted by Matt, and with me is...
Scott, as always.
Yep. And this week we chose to do Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples' Saga comic.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, they probably didn't pick that up.
That's okay.
That's fine. As you can tell, we're doing this a little bit differently. We are doing it over OBS and directly to YouTube, so there may be some quirks.
We're working on trying to make everything a lot cooler.
Yeah.
And that involves not doing it over Google Hangouts.
Yep. This makes it a little bit easier to do, too.
Looking at graphics and stuff.
Yup.
We're going to try to do that more often.
Maybe add some intro videos and stuff.
When we have some more time. Yeah. But as of right now, let's get into talking about Volume 1.
Okay, yeah. So Volume 1 of Saga is what we chose this week. It's published by Image Comics, and like I said, it's written by Brian K. Vaughan and drawn by Fiona Staples. They co-created the IP.
And Volume 1 is issues 1 through 6.
Yep, issues 1 through 6. Did you read it physical or digital?
Physical. My roommate actually owns all the volumes of Saga.
Okay, I was going to say, I got book 1, which contains volumes 1, 2, and 3 from the Image Comics Humble Bundle that I bought. So that's I'd read it
the
digital.
Other 3?
No, it comes with volumes 1, 2, and 3. So it's
digital.
through issue 18.
Got it.
Yeah.
My roommate has all the volumes, so I just asked if I could borrow his, and I read it in like an hour.
Yeah. Included. So we're gonna obviously get into some spoilers, but included in the description we have a link on Comixology if that's how you want to do it. I believe it's $9.99 for volume 1. Otherwise,
that's pretty cheap.
It's like $34 for book 1, which, like I said, includes issues 1 through 18. So
nice.
If you haven't read it, go read it because it's great.
Or go to your local comic book shop and pick it up there.
A lot of people, I prefer physical.
Me too.
It's just I happen to support it digitally this time.
Sometimes it's just easier to get it digital.
Well, I think I told you about this, but I think it was like $17, and I got like 140 Image Comics.
Holy shit!
So
Image Comics is one of my favorites.
Yeah, so it was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that.
As you can see, I'm wearing my Invincible T-shirt today.
Yeah, maybe we'll do an Invincible one at some point.
Yeah. I love Invincible. I don't know what we do. There's a lot of issues of Invincible.
Yeah, we could just start at volume 1 and,
reread it over again.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into it. What do you want to...
Well, first, let's give a synopsis or a background. So it's a kind of a sci-fi...
Sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah, sci-fi fantasy
Crazy sci-fi
comic.
fantasy. That's the best synopsis I can give you.
Yeah, violence and sex and...
It's not for kids.
And funny stuff.
Yeah.
And then, so basically the whole premise is there's a planet called Landfall, and it has a moon called Wreath, and they've been at war with each other for basically
Since
forever.
they've known about each other.
And the war spans the whole galaxy because they don't want to destroy the moon or the planet because that would cause their home, each of their respective homes to go out of orbit and stuff like that.
So they outsource their war.
Basically, yeah. And then it follows 2 characters, Alana and Marco, and... Alana is pregnant.
Yeah, well, she's from Landfall.
Yeah, she's from Landfall.
He's from Wreath.
And she was a soldier.
He was a prisoner.
And he was a prisoner that she was guarding. Or I guess she worked at the prison or whatever. And they copulate and have a child. And the child is born and named Hazel. And it kind of follows them as they're trying to raise the child and survive,
because
run away from...
They're being hunted by both sides.
Yeah, both sides.
Bounty hunters and contractors.
Oh, God, the freelancers is like the coolest concept in the comic.
The Will is one of my favorite characters in this comic.
Yeah.
He just looks cool, too. I love capes. When some dude has a cape and he's a bounty hunter, I'm just like, yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Looking at him, he feels like... in his lying cat and stuff, he feels so epic. Like it's so cool. Do we want to talk about any of the characters specifically or the story arc of these 6 issues?
What do you want to talk about? You're the host. You lead this thing.
Okay, well, let's talk about characters. You just said that you like the Will the best.
Yeah, and a lion cat, obviously.
The lion cat is really funny. It's a character...
It's like a cat creature it's intelligent, not just an animal.
Yeah.
And it has the ability to tell when someone is lying. Mm-hmm. So when you're a bounty hunter or freelancer in this, that's a pretty good trait to have.
Yeah, it's a good sidekick.
It's not his pet. Yeah, he says specifically she is his sidekick.
Mm-hmm. And then other bounty hunters, we have the Stock, who...
Former lover of the Will.
Yeah.
She's like a spider
Human?
creature.
Yeah, she's like
a centaur
yeah.
spider.
Yeah, part human, part spider.
But instead of spider legs, she has like hands on all of her legs, and she actually has no arms.
Yeah.
It's very strange, but she's cool.
Yeah. And then we have the ghost, or the horror, if you want to call it that.
Isabel. Right?
Isabel, yeah. I was trying to remember her name.
Yeah.
So they all kind of meet through weird circumstances. You know, they all run into each other at some point. Isabel saves Marco's life by getting him to snow.
Yeah, so he can cast a healing spell. Yeah. There's magic in this world, too.
Well, and that's what I think is so cool, is we have Landfall, who is, you know, kind of...
More science-based,
but they're all, like, winged humans, and they all have like different types of wings, like eagle's wings,
bug wings, dragon wings, whatever,
or like bat wings. And then we have Wreath, who are all like horned creature, like horned humans.
Yeah, they all have
like ram horns
too.
or like
rhino horns.
Rhino horns, yeah. And the people on Wreath are more about magic and like sword fight and like close combat and stuff like that. But to use the magic, they need ingredients, and like one of the spells, he needed a secret that's never been told to anybody, and like that's a really cool concept. And then obviously the people from Landfall, they have guns and, you know, tanks and
the
stuff
people
like
from
that.
Wreath, they use like swords and armor. And
So it's a really cool meld of the
Another
two
thing
genres.
too is how they both speak different languages. Mm-hmm. And you'd think they never understand each other.
Yeah.
And you think after fighting for so many years, someone would.
Well, they obviously do. There are people that can understand.
Yeah, there are some, but
because Marco obviously speaks language,
really
which is
no, he doesn't.
The Landfall.
He's got the translator. Their rings translate.
I forgot.
Yeah.
It's so cool. The world is so cool. If you haven't read the comic,
so
you
absurd and crazy.
We haven't spoiled too much yet. So if you haven't read any of Saga, definitely go read Volume 1, issues 1 through 6, and you'll probably want to continue beyond that.
If anything, the art is just phenomenal.
That was one thing I wanted to bring up, because the art alone is just beautiful. These worlds are like really unique looking and feeling, just on the art alone, and then the writing,
the colors
is equally
the colors
great.
bring so much. It's not just like a dark comics. Everything's dark. It's just bright and just whimsical, I guess.
Yeah.
I read a lot of issues digitally when the comic first came out, however many years ago, and I went back and bought, like, I think the first almost 10 issues, single issues, except for issue 1 I could not find. I was just gone. But just because the cover art was so cool, I wanted to physically have that art.
Yeah, they've done a really good job world building, where, you know, this universe or this galaxy feels very real, and it's relatable even though it is so weird and foreign. Like, they make a lot of comments that are like, okay, this is believable, or I can relate to this type of stuff. I didn't read issues 5 and 6 just because I had read all through the rest of them, and I just didn't have time this morning. So where did it end? Because I don't want to spoil anything. Don't want to go beyond issue 6.
It ends with, so they find the rocket ship forest, and they know, which the rocket ship forest, they're like trees, but they're rocket ships.
Yeah.
And they're like somewhat sentient. It's very strange. Don't think about it too much. Just if you try to find like logic in it, it's a fantasy.
Yeah.
Literally anything can happen in this world. So they get into the rocket ship and they're taking off, and then 2 Wreath soldiers show up in the ship, and turns out it's Marco's parents.
Okay. I just wasn't sure where it ended, so I didn't want to get into anything that was too spoilery.
Yep.
Also, we have our introduction to Sextillion, which is a freaking
That's
a planet.
Weird.
Yeah, a planet dedicated to like any sex fetish that you have.
And it is not.
Will goes there when he finds out the stock, which is his ex-girlfriend, is also on the same contract for hunting
he basically
Marco.
just gives up. He's like, well, fuck it, I'm not gonna nope, she's gonna do it instead of me.
Yeah,
might as well take this credit card they gave me and just max it out on whores.
Yeah, and he goes there, but then he discovers that there's like a child sex slave, basically, like a really young child
6.
sex slave, and he gets her off the planet through his means, through violence and stuff.
He doesn't get her off yet, as far as I read.
Oh,
he fights and tries to.
Okay,
he even tries to buy her,
but that was I thought that was a really cool storyline because it shows you like he has no problem killing a human child, like when or not a human child, but any child when he's getting contracted for Alana and Marco. He's like, do you want me to kill the child? And they're like, no, don't kill the child. And he's like, okay. But then obviously
you see a child
yeah,
as a sex slave. He's like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
So he has a line somewhere.
Yeah.
So he has some humanity. It's just trying to figure out where it is.
Yeah. I just thought I made the character really cool. Do we get introduced to Gwendolyn?
We hear her name. We don't meet her yet.
Okay.
That's
I just
later
didn't want to get into that if that wasn't.
Yeah.
So that when Marco he got stabbed by the stock, and Isabel and Alana are trying to save him by getting him to snow so he can use the magic. He's like on the verge of dying and passing out, and he says, tell my bride that I love her. And then Alana goes, I'm right here. And he goes, tell Gwendolyn that I love her. And then she goes, who the fuck is Gwendolyn?
Yeah, she is pissed. She's like, she's going to kill him as soon as he wakes up, pretty much. And then you find out Gwendolyn was like his former fiance who...
It was like arranged marriage, wasn't it?
Kind of arranged,
okay.
Yeah, but they had been like knowing each other since they were kids.
Yeah.
And they kind of drift apart through the war, and then he meets Alana, and, he just doesn't bring up Gwendolyn to her.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, it's such a good story. I'm trying to think of what else happened in the 6 issues.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot that happens. They're on this planet called Cleve, and there's these things called horrors, which everybody thinks are like these evil spirits, but really it's the native people of Cleve. When they die,
they become ghosts attached to the planet.
Yep.
As a form of like to protect the planet.
Yeah, from outsiders or from any harm that comes.
And so what the horrors are is the ghosts can project images into people's brains, and people see that.
Yeah. So people tell stories like the stock, when she was on the planet, said that she once saw a man get his spine ripped out of his urethra. And she's like, I swear it was real. I was right there. And it's like, no, that didn't actually happen. No. She just got it projected. So Isabel is one of these horrors, but she wants to get off of this planet. And the only way she can do that is to bind herself to a human that was born.
To bind themselves to a living person who was born on Cleve.
Yeah, born on Cleve, which Hazel was born on Cleve, Alana and Marco's child. So they're trying to find this rocket ship forest. Yeah. And they're trying to get off the planet. So she says, I'll help you save your husband if you allow me to bind to Hazel.
Yeah.
Which basically means she doesn't get control of her. It's not like possession.
They're just attached.
Yeah, so she's always near her.
Yeah. So she's basically just becomes their nanny.
Yeah.
Because so Isabel she's like a teenage ghost. And she said she had like 7 younger brothers and sisters, whatever. So she knows a thing or two about raising kids.
Yeah.
So she's a helpful hand. She's an ally to these two.
Oh, and another thing that we didn't bring up, but I think is really cool, is the comic is narrated by Hazel.
Yeah.
As if she's like reminiscing on all this stuff.
Yes.
So she has memories from birth on.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't talk about one of my favorite characters in this, besides the Will, Prince Robot the Fourth.
Oh yeah, and
he's cool.
So, if you've ever seen the anime show Fooly Cooly, it's totally like the robot with the TV head from that kind of.
Yeah,
that's what they look like. They're not.
But he's
they
also,
don't act like that.
He's like almost like a human body.
Yeah.
That he can kind of shapeshift a little bit. He can like grow a gun out of his arm. And he's got like a television head that displays images depending on.
Well, I think it's like when you're in like an emotionally heightened state, you can choose to turn it on or off, but when you're in an emotionally heightened state, you can't necessarily control it.
Yes,
yeah.
Right.
So like there's a scene where during sex he sees like violent images and like
oh really?
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention to that.
Yeah, I think that was in the first or second issue. But these characters are really cool because they're kind of like the freelancers, which are basically just not mercenaries, like assassins or whatever you want to call them.
Like bounty hunters, bounty hunter assassins.
But they're presented as like this royal family or royal like
the robots.
Race. Yeah, the robots are
because they're not freelancers. They're
no. But they're kind of like freelancers, where he makes a comment or his wife makes a comment
with Landfall or something.
Yeah,
like
they
that.
do
like a partnership,
but only because they were willing to pay more than Wreath was.
Oh, okay.
Like his wife makes that comment when they're done having sex.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been me. I'm sorry. So I thought that was really cool is you have on one side these freelancers who kind of everybody treats them as if they're like lowlifes and stuff like that, or kind of like lowlifes. It's weird because they also have an agent, so it feels like they're kind of like film
legit,
stars or something.
Like shitty legit.
Yeah, like everybody
don't respect them as much.
Yeah. And they all have names that start with the
something.
Stock,
the Will.
I think there was a couple other ones.
I just know like it's really displayed when Prince Robot meets the Stock, and he just fucking blasts her right in the chest.
Yeah,
just shoots her and just like, no, we don't need you, just go away.
Yeah. So like the robots present themselves as if they're royalty. You know, they're wearing like kind of like British royal garb. Like the royal family would, you know.
Yeah, or like it's very European.
That's what I mean by like British royal family, like where you know they've got the buttoned up suit coat and like the coat of arms and stuff like that.
On the shoulders and stuff. And
but it's a really cool. They've built like the main races feel really really unique and very cool.
Yeah.
And very strange.
Yeah, like so. Do we even know what because Will is probably the Will is probably the only one who looks human.
Yeah. I mean, besides the people on Landfall look human, it's just they have wings.
The Will looks just like an actual
like straight up human. Yeah.
Which I don't know if he actually is.
Well, same with the little girl. That was
her too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Will seems to be stronger than a regular human.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you notice that? So there's the little slave girl, her pimp, or whatever. He's not having any of it. He takes both his hands and literally just claps him on this guy's head.
Yeah.
And crushes it.
Crushes his head, yeah.
Which means he must be pretty tough if he can just do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of any other people later in the comics that might just look human.
It's been a while. I think I like that we started with Volume 1 again.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go and reread all of because I haven't been reading Saga for a while.
Same with me. I want to
reread
Christmas,
and catch up. I think it's just because it was on hiatus for a little bit. And so I kind of fell off when it was on hiatus. Otherwise, I was reading it every month.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a monthly comic. I think they're at like issue 26 or 28 now.
Something. I just saw it a couple weeks ago at the comic book shop, but I didn't buy it because
high 20s.
I don't know what issue I'm on. I'm so behind.
Yeah. I think I stopped at like issue 21. I think that must have been the one where they took a hiatus or something because I remember I was reading it every month and then I was like, oh, no new issue.
I can't see any spoilers because where I left off is like a major spoiler for the comics.
Oh, yeah. There's so many.
I can't say where I left off.
We'll talk when we're done.
Yeah.
But the story unfolds and it becomes more complicated and there's relationship issues and there's like fighting and they're trying to survive and we get Prince Robot's story, which is very different from, or actually it feels kind of similar to Marco and Alana in, you know what I mean?
I don't remember Prince Robot's story.
Okay.
I'm really fuzzy. It's been a long... I read Saga when it first came out.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time since I've read some of these issues.
But it unfolds in a very unique way. It's kind of like it's like if a soap opera, sci-fi, and a fantasy comic with lots of sex and violence were all
it was on HBO.
smashed into one. Yeah. And unfolds with a very cool story that I like so far. Or at least up until where I was at.
What was I say? I love comics and TV shows and stuff that have huge lore behind them. Like, I've been watching a lot of Steven Universe lately.
Yeah.
And I just love it because there's all this lore that you learn as the show goes on.
Yeah.
Because it kind of throws you right in the middle of it. Same with Saga. And you're learning more about this world and this lore and everything as you go. And that's what I love about it. That's why I like Star Wars and stuff
and
like that.
This feels kind of like that universe where there's so much and you only know a tiny, tiny bit. But they let you know everything like as you need to know it.
Yeah.
There's all these cool races. There's all these cool planets that are very unique feeling. Do we see the planet with like the troll thingy?
Not yet.
Okay.
Nope, that's going to be volume 2, I think.
It's not a spoiler or anything.
Yeah.
It's a cool part that I think is funny. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add?
I don't know. I just want to praise the art some more.
Yeah.
Because I could just look at the art of Saga. Like some of the covers.
Yeah.
I would love to get in big prints and like hang up in my house.
Oh, definitely.
There's one with the Will and Lion Cat where he's like sitting there smoking. I don't know what issue that is. But over it's just those two, which are very blue colored, over this yellow background. I'm like, oh, that's such a cool.
Yeah. I mean, the covers alone, if you look at them, it feels like it just feels so sci-fi and fantasy. Like it does such a good job of melding the two together.
Yeah, I think I almost when I made the thumbnail for this episode, I almost was going to do the 6 covers, but then I didn't have the time to sit and do that.
Yeah.
But I think for the next time we do like Saga or like compilation or whatever, I'm going to put maybe the 6 covers or whatever covers on there.
Yeah.
Just because I mean, cover art is.
Yeah, the cover.
It's a big thing for comics.
Yeah, and that's it. I was watching a YouTube video today about like video game cover art, and they were talking about, being artsy and having a good cover are sometimes two different things. And I think Saga does a very good job of they look very artistic, but you can look at it and be like, okay, this looks like sci-fi and fantasy.
You can get a gist of what the comic is.
Yeah.
I actually bought a comic a couple weeks ago, specifically just by the cover art. It was called Space Riders. I still don't really know exactly it was issue number 2, and I could not find issue number 1. I still don't know what the comic's about, but I bought it because the art on the cover was so cool, and the inside of the comic, it looked like Super Jail almost, like the art style.
Yeah,
like Super Jail meets heavy metal.
Yeah,
yeah. Super Jail meets heavy metal is what it looked like.
Yeah. Well, I think with that about wraps it up for our discussion.
Yeah,
Do you want to get into?
Well, let's just say. Check out Saga.
Yeah, if you
Image Comics.
If you haven't, you should definitely be reading it. And if you've only read Volume 1, you should definitely go read Volume 2 and 3.
Yeah, if you like sci-fi, because like I'm not much of a fantasy person. I'm not like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones person.
Yeah,
but you mix in that fantasy with some sci-fi, I'm all aboard, and it is really cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool universe. And
if you're a nerd, you will love Saga. That's all I gotta say.
It feels like an adult Star Wars with some drama built in.
It's definitely very mature.
Yeah.
There's some nudity, harsh language.
I know, I was reading it yesterday, and Ashley like looks over and it's like, why is there a bunch of nudity? And I'm like, that's
just how it is.
Yeah.
You become desensitized. I keep hitting this.
I think on the first issue you see 3 different boobs, or 3 different sets of boobs and a few penises.
Yeah.
So
all right.
If you're not into that, don't read this.
I guess that's the end of that. Let's get into our segment that I want to call Scott's Thoughts.
Yep.
Where every Wednesday before we come do the show, I go to the comic book shop by my house and pick up a few issues of what I think looks cool, and I want to share with what I got this week. So the first one I picked up, which I think people, if you're just a Marvel fan, so they have the Secret Wars thing going on right now, and so they're bringing back a lot of universes that we were previously shown in like old special runs or whatever. And right now we've got Old Man Logan #1. I can't get up to the camera that close, and you can't even see it. But
no, you can see it. You can see it.
Well,
Good enough.
No, it doesn't matter. So This is Wolverine as an old man, kind of like in a post-apocalyptic world. I haven't read it yet, so yeah, that's another thing with each week is I haven't read any of these yet.
Yeah.
I'm just picking them up to show what I got.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check this out. You know, it's by Brian Michael Bendis, who's pretty much writing everything at Marvel right now.
Yeah, he's writing a lot of stuff.
Like, I don't know how that dude does it, because I couldn't possibly, but Old Man Logan #1. It's the Secret Wars tie-in that's coming out this week. So I say check that out. I also got DC's Convergence #8. I haven't read any of the other Convergence, so this is kind of dumb that I got the final one. But I want to see how it ends, and I just noticed on the cover how it's got some Earth 2 guys on there.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, screw it. Check it out and see what it's like.
It's one of those...
I heard Convergence wasn't that good, but I want to see how it kind of turns out.
Well, comics are one of those things where knowing the end result of a comic doesn't necessarily spoil it.
No.
I mean, you can, if you read the end and you're like, oh, I like this.
Like Civil War, I know how it ends, but I still want to go back and read it and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm going to read this today and see what that's like. And then I found this other one. I like to try to find random comics that I've never read before and pick them up just to try to get into new things, especially non-superhero stuff.
Yeah.
And so I got this called Material, which I know absolutely nothing about. I don't know what the story is at all. I know it's published by Image Comics, and it says rated M for mature.
That sounds like a good comic to me. Image Comics, I don't know if there's a single comic that I've read from Image that I haven't liked.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Image Comics fan. I started with Walking Dead back in high school.
Yep.
And then I moved on to Invincible, and that's one of my mainstays I read every month.
Yeah. God, I got to catch up on Invincible still.
It's good.
I think I'm only on like issue 50.
Yeah, the guy at the comic book shop said, wish people read Invincible more than Walking Dead because... unlike Walking Dead, stuff actually happens in Invincible.
Yeah.
So, do you have 4 Ys on my thing there?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, it looked like 3.
No. Yeah, I double-checked like 3 times.
Okay. Yeah, so Old Man Logan #1, Convergence #8 of 8, and Material, which I know nothing about. So those are just some of the things that I picked up today, and we'll probably read this afternoon before I go to work.
Awesome. What do you want to read next week?
Oh man, I don't know.
I was thinking we could. I don't know if we want to do 2 Image comics back to back, but we could do like Sex Criminals Volume 1 because I think you said that you've read it.
Yes, I've read it already,
and that was one of the ones I got for the Image Humble Bundle.
We could do that because I would like you to just read it and then tell me what you think about it.
Yeah,
because I read it a few months ago.
Yeah, I read the first issue when it first came out, and then I was just waiting until
we should read Volume 1 because I think Volume 2 just came out not too long ago.
So I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do Sex Criminals Volume 1, and then if you guys have any suggestions for the week after that, put them in the comments below.
Yeah, because we're kind of running out of ideas already.
Yeah. Well, it's just we get onto a run where it's like we did 2 DC comics back to back. And then we wanted to do Superman Earth 1 Volume 3, but it's like we don't want to do 3.
Yeah, and
DC
I read
comics.
that the other day, and it's honestly
not as good.
Great.
Okay, then maybe we won't do that one.
Yeah, it was okay. Superman's really cool in it, but everything else kind of is not that
good. Yeah, we want to do a bunch of different types of comics too, not just superhero comics and not just sci-fi comics. So if you have any suggestions...
I'll even read Archie comics. I think I'm going to get some Life with Archie and read some
Have you seen some of the spin-offs, the weird spin-offs that they're doing, like the zombie...
Afterlife with Archie?
Yeah.
I've heard Life with Archie is actually amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to get some of those issues and read some of those.
Yeah. So maybe we'll do that some week.
Or read it. We're down for anything as long as it's got pictures and words in it.
Yep. So if we want to find you on the internet, where do we go?
Right where it says on the screen there, at Scotty Boy, SCOTTYBWO 4 Ys.
Because 3 Ys was taken.
And
you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and most of the internet at Hagnerd, HAGNERD. You can follow us on Fuzzy Loaf down there at Fuzzy Loaf. Well, I just didn't want to get too low. You can also find us on YouTube if you're watching this some other way. I don't know if you can now, I guess, because we're broadcasting directly to YouTube. But you can just search for us, Fuzzy Loaf. Search Fuzzy Loaf. We do a weekly podcast about movie and TV, and a weekly podcast about video games. And then we're doing the Comic Book Club. I also do a show on Mondays where I break down the weekend box office numbers and make predictions for the next week. So,
what do you think's gonna? What do you think's gonna?
I think San Andreas is gonna be number one this week.
San Andreas.
Yeah, I think it'll hit at least 40 million.
I'm gonna see that this weekend.
Yeah,
just because I like The Rock.
Yeah,
I said it before.
Yeah,
looks fun.
And then I think Tomorrowland is gonna hit third. I think Pitch Perfect is gonna stay second.
Yeah, I almost saw Tomorrowland, but I decided not to.
Yeah, it didn't do very well this weekend.
I heard only 2/3 of it is good. So
yeah. Anyways, so this was the first. Well, I guess this is the third episode of this, but this is our first episode.
First ever episode with the new format.
Yeah. So if you like that, let us know. Like, comment, subscribe.
We're gonna work on some graphics and music, I think.
Yeah,
soon.
we're probably gonna do an intro.
Yeah, we'll take a weekend and just buckle down, get some drinks, and work on some cool stuff.
So
sweet.
Stay awesome.
And smell you later.